Back in September 2023, I saw this Assetsville Town trailer on YouTube where you've got an asset pack for an entire town and a bunch of characters. So I thought it'd be great to create a game with a bunch of NPCs bustling around and you could play some sort of detective who could go around solving crimes. I'm experienced in C Sharp, but my only previous game experience was back in 2015 when I created a 2D side-scroller game for the iOS App Store. This was using Unity with C Sharp in the mono development environment. So to get started, I installed Unreal Engine on my PC and then created a third-person project just to make sure that everything was working all right. I originally did this in Unreal Engine version 5.3, but here I'm doing it in the latest version 5.8. This basically gives you a simple level that you can just run and jump around in. Then in the Epic Games application, I downloaded the Assetsville Town and then I added it to the project. You get the warning here that it's not yet compatible with 5.8, but I just chose 5.7 here and didn't seem to get too many problems. And now back in Unreal Engine, you can browse to the Maps folder within the Assetsville Town folder, and then you can double click to open up the demonstration map. Once that's loaded, it loads the level. You can actually tweak the settings here by clicking low or high. So with high, you get all the nice shadows, but it will be a bit more glitchy when you're in the designer. But for now, I'll just show it at high just so that you can see it with all of the shadows. When you press the play button, so you can navigate around with the AWSD keys and look around with the mouse. If you want to actually play as a character, you need to click Window and then World Settings. Then eventually that will pop up in the menu here where I've got my mouse cursor over on the right. Then you can change the select game mode drop down from the functional test game mode to BP_ third party person game mode. Now when you click play, you get the Unreal Engine 5 character. And you can just start running around the town. The next issue you might get is when you try to go into some of the buildings, there's like a big invisible wall that doesn't allow you in. So here, look, I can't get up the steps and I'm just sort of completely blocked, can't jump in or anything. To solve this one, I found the mesh by searching for SM_building. And you can just double click to open that and use the mouse wheel to zoom out a bit. And if we scroll down and look for the collision complexity, and just change that from project default to use complex collision as simple. And if you save that, go back to the map and then press play. Let's have another go, see if that solves the problem. There we go. So now we can get in the buildings. So you could change your entire project settings, but I just went for changing the meshes as I needed to. So my final step for actually creating the game itself was to just try and change the skeleton over to be the detective character that I wanted to use. So I found the BP_ third person character, changed to the viewport, opened up the mesh, and instead of using the Quinn mesh, I looked for the detective one. Search for that, and then you can click that. Okay, and then when you hit save, it goes all strange like this and sort of completely breaks up the limbs and looks absolutely horrible. And when you go back to the map and just press play, it still looks bad in this. And then when you walk, it looks absolutely terrible. It's all broken up, and also its feet are completely stuck to the ground. So the next steps were to learn about the ABP or animation blueprint that this third person character pointed to. And here you can see you've got a bunch of states like locomotion. And if you double click and drill in, you can eventually drill down to where you can see the animation being used. Now the problem is that mm_idle is using an animation that is tied to the Unreal Engine 5 skeleton, so does not work with this new character that has a different skeleton. So next I right clicked the ABP, chose assign skeleton, and if you just expand this out, you can find the skeleton that comes with the Assetsville Town asset pack. You can select that, click to accept. And there, now you can see you get the same break as you saw when in runtime. So the next step was to retarget these animations. If you right click and then click retarget animations, we've got the correct source skeleton. Then we just need to find our target skeleton mesh. Then we can auto generate the retargeter. Just hit export. I'm going to browse to the same folder where the idle animation is, which is under characters, mannequins, anims, unarmed. And you can click export on that. So this has created 3 new files, but the important one here is the IK retargeter file called rtg_autogenerated, because that can be selected to retarget other animations in future. Next, we can actually retarget this animation. So if we right click and do retarget animations, and we untick auto generate retargeter and choose our RTG auto generated, that auto picks the skeleton for you. You just refine idle to pick there. And you can pick more than one animation if you want to, but if we hit export animations, then we go into characters, mannequins, anims, unarmed, and we're just going to add a suffix of town, then click the export button, and then export again. Now you can see that it's created idle_town. Now if we go back to our idle state animation, we can drag in our new town animation. Then we can plug that one in, and we can even delete the old one. Then when we compile and save this, we can see that it fixes the animation. Now back in the game, if we hit the play button, you can see that when it loads up, the characters move. You can see the right arm moving slightly there. It's all looking good so far. And obviously if we start to run, it goes wonky because we've only fixed the idle animation. So the next steps were to go through every single state within that animation blueprint and retarget them all to the town versions of them. But the problems weren't over there, because when you start to move now, your feet seem to be stuck to the ground. I eventually found out this was due to this file, the CR mannequin foot IK, because if you disconnect it and then play the game, you can see that it manages to walk normally. You can correct this by adding a couple of virtual bones to the skeleton, and then adding the skeleton to the foot IK file. Remove and delete the hierarchy over on the left there, and then reselect all of the correct new virtual bones for the left and right feet. After all that, now the walking, running works, and you can also stand near slopey surfaces or stairs, and you get the nice foot binding to the ground. Now that I got the basics working, I started to look at some of the AI systems I could use to create this detective game and also automate some of the MPs doing various things. This was when I noticed Shadows of Doubt had gone onto the Steam store in early access 5 months earlier, and they'd basically done exactly what I was attempting to do. So I didn't feel comfortable moving forwards trying to sort of copy this game. So I decided to do something a bit simpler with a standard quest system. I created a spreadsheet of all of the NPCs that would be in the game to work out which ones are going to be the quest givers, which ones were going to be shopkeepers, and also some of the basic NPCs that would give random lines or hints for helping you progress with the game. I then started to follow some YouTube tutorials for health systems and inventory systems, including a lot of Brian Laley ones. So here the inventory system allows you to add items to and from inventories and containers. You can also eat items to improve your health. I also extended it so that it would work with a controller, so you can use the shoulder buttons to move from one side to the other, rather than just dragging with the mouse. I then started adding AI logic to the NPCs, so each NPC had 2 behavior trees. They had a main tree to follow, dialogue tree. You've got the main AI tree, so in the bottom left it can decide whether there's a dialogue needed. Otherwise, it'll be doing the Roman sequence, doing a patrol across paths or moving to random locations. And here we've got the behavior tree for the dialogue. So you can start the dialogue, you can display various lines, you can put in the text to display, and you can ask questions, check for responses, decide to end the dialogue, or display other lines. Next up was adding a quest system where you could go up to the NPCs, get a quest. So this one here is a fetch quest. So you've got to go off and get 6 items, return them for a cash reward. This gave me the opportunity to add a bit of a platforming element to the game. So here you can sort of jump up on the barrels, get up onto the roof, pick up the avocado that the farmer wants. And when you do that, you get the notification that you've collected one. And here we're tracking the mission, so it shows in the top left corner. When you have all the items, you get a return to the NPC message in the top left corner of the screen. And when you return to them and speak to them, you can choose to complete the quest and get your money. Here I made it so that you could actually accidentally eat an avocado, and you can't buy them from the shops. So in this case, your mission is messed up and you won't be able to complete it. Not sure if that was a good or bad idea. I did extend the inventory system to have a second tab for keys and trophies, so maybe I should put quest items on a third tab there. Then they can't be eaten and they can't also be dropped accidentally. Next up, we've got the go to location style missions, where here the doctor tells you to go to a particular location, so then you can go off and try and work out where it is. In this game, there's no dot on the map, so you have to sort of explore a bit to try and find it. And then when you get to the area, you complete the mission. But here it's grayed out. It just says quest completed, so it auto completes. You don't have to go back to the person that told you about it, but you just get notified that you have got there. Next up was the addition of Shopkeepers, which I think was another Ryan Lady tutorial. So you can just walk up to them, the camera changes focus, and you can look at what the shop has. You can sell your items. It did actually stop shops from buying the avocados, which were a quest item, but you can sell everything else. You will not be able to get rid of your quest items this way, but you still can eat them. So this gives you the opportunity to sell your goods for money, and then later on you can start using the money to start buying some weapons. Next up, we got the first mission that starts to sort of get you into the game. So Jed here gives you a mission. He talks to you about trying to escape Bytesville, which is the name of the town. And he mentions the key is hidden really deep, right next to a lake. And he also gives you a kill mission to go and kill the FIB agents. So here you can go off, kill 5 agents, come back to Jed, get a cash reward. So I did add a swimming mechanic to this game. So originally I tried to use a variety of water plugins, but they kept crashing my card. So here is a sort of much simpler water implementation. So it's not particularly amazing, but it does the job. So I might do another video on this just for how I did it, and just maybe get some feedback to see how other people did it. At one point I was going to add a lot of sea monsters and tunnels, but in the end I just went for these sort of deep pits. So if you get greedy, try and go to too many chests, you will actually run out of oxygen. So we've been underwater for quite a long time now. We can get to the bottom here, and there's a chest. You do actually get some more valuable items from these chests, I think, that contain crystals. But more importantly, it's the first key at the bottom of this pit, which is really what gets the game going, because there's going to be a series of keys that you need to gather to escape Bytesville. So now the player's starting to gulp a bit, losing health, and finally dies underwater. In this game, you respawn to the nearest spawn point to where you died. So now that we've picked up a key, it appears in the inventory on the keys and trophies tab. So the name of the key of knowledge, is a clue to where to find the door for where the next key will be found. And you can't drop these or eat these, so you've got them for good, so you'll always be able to use them to unlock the doors that they're for. So if you go to a door before you have the key, it just tells you that you need a key, and you won't be able to get in. But here you can look through the window and see that there's another key on the counter that will allow you to progress further. Once you've got enough money, you can then go to the gun store and you can start purchasing weapons and ammunition. So here we can we've got $229, so we can afford the SMG-11. Also grenades there. So once we leave the shop, if you can rotate through your weapons using the mouse wheel, then you may be tempted to start gunning down all of the NPCs, but you will have a limited amount of ammunition in this game. It's probably worth saving it for the actual bad guys. So here we've got the FIB headquarters, so you can go in there to do the Jed mission to kill 5 FIB agents. Lots of blocks to take cover with on the approach, which the AI also uses. I think that was another Ryan Laley YouTube tutorial. You can also go hand to hand with your axe or the slightly more powerful pickaxe. I did see some tutorials on tooling, and I did actually add one where you can hit the boulders with your pickaxe to create rocks, and then your rocks can be used as one of the weapons to throw at people. But it is quite hard, and your aim is as bad as mine, because I've missed all 4 times. Here we've got some trampoline traps, arrow traps, and also some area of effect damage. This here in the form of fires. So you've got to make sure you get here with full health to be able to get this key. I added the ability to hang from ledges and then pull yourself up. You can also jump onto the lines to sort of walk across those, and sometimes there's some bonuses there to be picked up. And then I also added in ladders, which were a bit glitchy. Even towards the end, I couldn't figure out this sort of head bobbing. 2 years on now, I have solved that. I might do a follow-up video on that one just to sort of show how that got improved. I added large and small dragons to the game. These ones are the small ones that they fire things out of their mouth at you. The large ones are a bit harder to kill, and they're the ones that give you trophies, which you see on that second tab of your inventory. These were another set of free assets that you can get from the asset store. Most of this game is all on one individual map, but I did add some logic to allow you to load between 2 different maps. So here you can go into a cave entrance, and then that loads a cave, which again was a free asset from the asset store. But I did make significant changes to it to get things in all of the right positions. As mentioned earlier, I named the town Bytesville, and the idea of this game is to try and escape from it. So I decided to call the game Escape from Bytesville, and then that led me to move on to developing the title screen and the menus. So the title screen for the game is basically a map in its own right. It has the logo of the game and also a UI. It's got 3 tabs, which is the main play bit. And then it's got a second tab for the options and a third tab for the controls. So here we've got the options. So you can do the window mode, the resolution, the graphics, the standard Unreal Engine defaults of high, medium, low. You even got the Epic and Ultra. Do VSync on or off, and then you've got the frame rates, which is quite important because the default frame rate in Unreal Engine 5.3 was actually unlimited. So I might do a video on that just to show how that works. In the third tab, you've got the controls for the keyboard and the controller. On the play tab, you've got a start new game and exit to desktop button, and if you've got a game in progress, there's also a continue button. I also decided some of the things that I wasn't going to do, such as having a radar with a dot where you follow the quest. I didn't go for flappable doors just in case they block the NPCs. I didn't do breakable glass or voice acting. Didn't add cars, no daylight cycles. I didn't go for water plugins because they sometimes crash my graphics card. And for the first game, I didn't have Steam achievements or number of quests complete. And I didn't do flying dragon AI, and so on. I think if I were to change one thing in this game, it would be a little less running around in wilderness between the different points of interest, because you do spend a bit of time doing that. I recently played Outer Wilds, and here it's really obvious where the points of interest are, and you very quickly learn that there's going to be nothing of interest on those grassy areas, so you don't sort of need to walk backwards and forwards, looking for grenades and whatnot. I think that's been done really well in that game. That's something that I'll try and improve on for my next game. The other thing I would have changed in hindsight is that although I originally intended that this game would be in the Assetsville Town with the NPCs moving around, and I did make a lot of changes, such as additional huts, I used real terrain and so on, that I think in hindsight I would have completely built my own town from the base up. So there are obviously very negative impressions about asset flipping, and I didn't want to really fall into that category, even though my original intentions were that I wanted to turn that town that I saw in the original YouTube video alive. So that was my first game in Unreal Engine. So I started it in September 2023 and got it onto the Steam store 23rd of February 2024. So you can check it out if you want to, but honestly, if you could just leave a comment in the video, just let me know how your game went, or if you've got any questions, it would be great to have a chat about it. I'm also hoping to do some more videos about some of the problems I had and some of the improvements I'm doing for my next game. That's the end of this video. Please like and subscribe, it will really help out the channel, and I hope to see you in the next one.